You haven't lived until you spill an entire bottle of kombucha in your car. In other news, I love my power washer.
I wore what I thought was a cool jumpsuit, but I got a Devo comment. So for the rest of the day, Whip It was running through my head, which is a cool song, don't get me wrong, but kind of aggressive for an all day theme.
Yeah, especially if you weren't totally going for that. Do you ever feel like the more someone shows off online, the less happy they seem to be? We get it. You went to Bali. Hashtag take me back.
Truth. My Instagram feed currently consists of dreamy mid century bungalows I can't afford and donkey videos. I've made my bed, Sarah.
And you will lie in it. Have such a good day. Hello, world. Welcome back to Have Such a Good Day, that show that wants you to do just that. Sunday, Sunday, Sunday.
Hey, man, it's a big day today, Sarah. It's midweek.
It's actually not Sunday. I don't know why
It's
I
not
said
Sunday, but it's a blue
wrestling thing.
supermoon day, which is
Is
what actually
it?
makes sense to me because neither one of us, me and my dude Elijah, have been sleeping well the last couple nights because this moon
Is it
apparently
because you guys are
pulls.
werewolves?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, the hair has spiked every night
You're
around
like,
9 o'clock.
you're like, after night 3 of howling outside, we wondered if we were human after all.
It must be the super blue moon. No, but seriously, I know that you take this stuff with a grain of salt even more than I do. But I will say it makes sense when you think of how the moon pulls the ocean in the
Yeah,
tides. It has to affect us on some level. I'm not saying it's made me have insomnia for the last 2 nights, but there is something to it that's physical, not astrological. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, I lunar patterns
Yeah.
do lots of things to our Earth. I'm sure humans are affected on some level.
Well, y'all, welcome to the show that unpacks the
Yeah. Hey.
absurdity of everyday life for your entertainment, life's cruel
Oh.
ironies,
Oh.
full moons, joyous moments, and the bittersweetness of extreme adulting. Sarah Lane, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well, Heather. I was, I mean, for people who aren't involved in production, this will not be interesting to you, but I've been fooling around with this green screen.
Mm.
That's the way that you can, well, I don't even know
Key
how to
in
explain
like
this.
graphics and stuff like that, like a
Well,
lot of
yeah, yeah.
CGI.
I'm trying to use like not industry terms. I think everyone knows what a green screen
Yeah.
is. And green screens can be like, super high tech, or basically a piece of green fabric
Hmm. Yeah.
that you hang
Or
behind
blue.
yourself. Yeah, or blue. Yeah, or in fact, you have other color options
Sure.
now. Green screen was just kind of, it was funny. My mom, she saw it the other day and she was like, "Oh, that's a different kind of green than I thought it would be." And I was like,
That's
"What
so
did you
cute.
think it would be? Like a
Like a
forest green
Yeah, or
or
like an
some sort of a
olive.
icy green?" It's a
Cute.
it's a pretty standard. Let's call it Kelly green.
Yeah, totally.
But I've been fooling around with that, just doing, production shiznit.
Love
It's been
it.
it's been kind of fun. I've made some strides,
Good.
and I've had some setbacks, as is always the case with anything hardware related.
You've
So
always liked
good
to tinker with
times.
that stuff though. I think it kind of keeps you busy, it keeps your mind busy, and it's like solving a problem. I kind of think it
It's
helps
like
contribute to your happiness, Sarah.
I agree. Although as you were explaining that, it's like I like flashed forwarded to like me at 95 degrees. Like, Sarah needs to keep her mind, less
Occupied.
feeble. Let's give her a green screen and just like tinker around. In
Totally.
her rest home, for a few hours. Good
Totally.
work,
I
Ms.
love
Lane.
this.
Good
This is
work.
something I'm going to do for you way down the line. I'm going to
Yeah.
try to make a note of that. But yeah, no, I think we have to keep our mind going. It's funny. I have this kind of push and pull situation right now where I like being really busy. It's like I've been so busy since I've come home, and it's great because it keeps your mind occupied. You're accomplished. Your days go by quickly and they're full. But I'm so tired, and I just want to slow. I want to slow the days down a little and like have a slow morning. But I know that once I do that, I'll be like, oh, where is everybody? You know, it's like we can't seem to be totally satisfied with whatever's going on, you know? Grass
It's
is
like
always greener.
happiness self-sabotage.
Totally.
Self-sabotage is this
Is a
term that,
thing.
I mean, I know what it means, but I've been thinking about it a lot lately. Like, why do I sometimes like think certain things into existence that I don't want to happen?
Oh,
It's like I
totally.
think that they're going to, and then they do.
Oh,
Little
100%.
self-sabotage going on there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like it's funny because I was just talking to my sister about that yesterday because she goes, we had a really big day. Our Tuesdays are really big. We just had a slew of places to go and people to talk to like set things straight, you know? And she just was
Mm,
dreading it so much. And in the morning, the first thing she said was like, oh, today's going to be so horrible. Like it's just going to be so hard and all this stuff. And it actually wasn't. It ended. And then at the end of the day, she was like, today wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. And I was like, see, you don't want to set yourself up for this
right,
horrible
right.
day. You have to try to stay positive about it, at least going in, because you don't really know what you're going to get. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I know what your sister's talking about. There are certain days where I wake up and I'm like, this
same.
day is gonna suck.
Yeah,
And
especially when you
sometimes it
can't
actually
get
does
Wordle.
suck. Right, exactly. Don't even have time for Wordle.
Yeah.
God. But even those days that do suck, it's
Uh-huh.
like I can't tell you how many times I've woken up and been like, okay, let's do this. Like at some point, I will get through it and it
Hmm.
will be the end of the day and
Hmm.
I can relax again. And it always
Exactly. And you
is.
can watch
And
your
then I
reality
go, see,
shows and it's all
yeah.
good. I feel the same way. Sometimes it's this weird thing where it's like 5 o'clock rolls around. I'm coming in hot. It's just like been a crazy day. And then I forget, oh, wait a minute. It's now 5. I can kind of like chill now. This is so nice, And I get the white wine out of the refrigerator, pour a glass, and it's like, ooh, it's all
Yeah. It's
good,
the little unwindy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, last night I was totally there with you around I had gone well, I had worked. I
Mhm.
had gone to the gym. It was probably about maybe 6. It's been really
Mhm.
hot here, so it's like poor Otis the dog just he
Poor
really
all
can't be
animals.
out between about 11 and 6 on days like this. It's like 95 degrees. The pavement's too hot. It's
Think about
miserable for everybody.
sheepdogs or,
Oh,
hairy,
I
like
know.
like at least Otis has like short hair.
He does, but because of that, he also doesn't tolerate heat that well.
Mm.
You kind of like almost like you want him to have like a sun umbrella type thing. He really like, he's panting. It's just like no good.
I bet you
But
could find one
yeah,
online.
just sort of like an umbrella that I strap to him. Not weird.
Totally. No, not at all.
But yeah, it was around 6 p.m. and
Mhm.
it was still hot, but it was like he had to go out and it was one of those things where I was like, he has to go. Don't
Uh-huh.
get comfortable. Just don't get comfortable. Okay, let's do it. You can set your Apple Watch for an outdoor walk. Let's make it happen because, it was finally shady enough.
Yeah.
And the whole time I was like, one foot in front of the other, Sarah, come on, you have to do this. And then when you get home, you get to eat dinner and spread out, which I did. And everything was fine.
Good. Yeah, it's funny how we just never learn.
The little victories in
Oh,
life,
it's all
I
about the small
suppose.
victories. I'm constantly saying that. I feel like, do we turn into like these regurgitators of like these expressions as we get older? It's just like I sometimes find myself,
Well, we are kind of trite at this age, you know?
it
I'm
happens.
like,
We just fall
I
apart.
was telling someone the other day, I'm like, everyone's a unique snowflake, which we are. At the same time, sometimes we're kind of just machines.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
humans navigating this life of ours.
Yep.
Well, speaking of navigating life, this actually doesn't apply to me totally because I don't live in San Francisco anymore. But, Heather, I thought we would pour out a little liquor for the downtown Nordstrom
Oh,
that just
let's do.
closed at
Oh, it's
Westfield
so
Mall.
sad.
I know. So, for
Sign of the
anybody who's not
times.
gosh, I'll say. For anybody who's not familiar, Westfield Mall is a mall chain. There are a lot of Westfields.
Mhm.
And San Francisco, this particular mall has gone through many incarnations. There used to be an Emporium Capwell there when I was a little kid. I don't know
Wow,
if you
haven't
remember
heard
that,
that
Heather,
word
but
in a long
yeah, I
time.
know. It has been some time. Then it became Bloomingdale's. Nordstrom had been there at this particular mall for, I think it opened in like, I don't know. It was like mid 80s. And this mall is in what you would call sort of squarely the downtown shopping district
Yeah.
of San Francisco. Some people are familiar with Union Square.
Yep.
It's right
It's
there.
not far from there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And big mall, real pretty. There's when you're inside, it was sort of always a maze because there's like this big rotunda and the escalators are part of the rotunda, so you're going on an escalator that's going up almost like a windy snake. It's unusual. It's
Yeah.
unusual.
What are they
for a
going to do
mall.
with that space?
Well, the mall itself is being sold. So Westfield said a few months ago, we're just gonna sell. Like this is not worth our while anymore. A lot of mall stores had already closed, and Nordstrom announced they were closing. Nordstrom and Bloomingdale's are sort of the two big department store anchors of this mall, as many malls have. Bloomingdale's, as far as I know, is still cranking. It's a really nice Bloomies. But the Nordstrom was sort of it was the big store.
Yeah.
It was the bigger store. Great shoe department.
Yeah.
And this particular mall was like over time, it got a movie theater down in the basement level where you kind of have your food court. It was a nice food court. It also had a Bristol Farms, which is sort of an upscale grocery store. Like you could kind of like live in that mall, which I used to because I wasn't within walking distance for a few years when I lived in that part of SF. I mean, I loved this mall. So the closure of Nordstrom is sad, even though I don't go there anymore on any regular basis and it doesn't actually affect my life in any way. It's just sort of like end of an era type thing.
Yep.
But then, as I was thinking about this, because San Francisco, if you follow, I don't know, kind of NIMBY type news, you know that San Francisco, depending on who you talk to, is in worse shape than ever. The downtown area for sure has taken a hit. I mean, everyone I know who still lives there would tell you the same thing. You have a lot of unused office space because a lot of people went remote during COVID, never came back. There is, a definite crime and homelessness problem, especially in certain parts of San Francisco, which is a small city, so everybody's on top of each other. So I think these things tend to really show up in certain cities more than others. However, last summer, so 2022, I had been in Ohio for a wedding. And the wedding itself was in a small town, but it wasn't far from Cleveland. So that's where I flew into. And a friend of mine who we were both going to the wedding and sharing a rental car, we met in Cleveland the day before the wedding and just like kind of had some time to kill. And I was like, I've never been to Cleveland before. Let's like, I don't know, check it out. And I had not packed the right jewelry for this wedding. So I was like, you know what, we'll just hit a mall downtown and I'll just buy something. It'll take me 5 minutes. And so sure enough, we're downtown and we go into this mall, which is like the downtown mall. And it was so weird. I've never been in a mall so strange. Now, I think this mall probably was hopping at one point. There were some stores open, but it was like not mall. You kind of figure like maybe there's a Sears or a Macy's or I don't know, like the list goes on of like things that are probably in there.
Sure.
I mean, at the very least, you get some sort of like Claire's where you could buy like crappy jewelry or get your ears pierced or something, or a t-shirt store. And it was like, there was a little bit of that, but it was mostly just sort of dead and sad with a lot of stores closed, where they have like the iron gates in front of it kind of thing.
Totally.
And you had some kind of errant jewelers selling things kind of in the middle of the mall. It was so like, we were like, where are we? What is this? It was a mall that once was. And
There's something so
and yeah, I
depressing
guess I
about.
kind of I'm just kind of thinking, well, it's sort of sad because I love a good mall.
Yeah, there's something kind of depressing about an empty mall, like more so than other structures. Yeah, there it's very echoey. It's kind of apocalyptic, and it's just strange. It's like, what do you put? It's kind of like, a lot of these corporate buildings that are empty, these office buildings, these tall, big, gargantuan like office buildings. What do you put in there if you don't have office, people, employees? What do you put in there if you don't have shops? How do you turn over a mall into something that will work for this day and age? And so, yeah, it's a sign of the times for
Yeah.
sure. And San Francisco's been so pummeled since the pandemic, even before that. I mean, I remember the
Uh-huh.
day when I knew I needed to leave again. I was like, I could tell that it was slipping, and I wanted to move back to LA. This was probably what, 2012, or wait, 2015, something like that. Yeah, it just I think
I think it was 2016 because you and I moved right around the same time.
we
It was like
did.
right at the beginning of 2016. Yeah, we were both like, I think we're out of here.
Yeah, I think we both had really good jobs actually, and it was a tough decision, I remember, but I just felt it in the air. It wasn't the city that it used to be. And I'm sure it's great for people today. I just think we were there at such a time. First dot-com boom, second dot-com boom, just all of these really interesting times to live there. And maybe it it just, in our eyes, it lost its luster, but maybe it has a luster for new people. I don't know. I don't
Oh
really
yeah, I
crave to go
mean,
back there, but
I don't go. I mean, I'm currently about an hour north of San Francisco by car. And so it's a hop, skip, and a jump, but I don't really go into the city that often, mostly because a lot of my friends don't live there anymore. Some of
yeah,
them do, but a lot of them have moved to other places. So there is just, I don't know. I mean, when I lived in a city, LA is another example, but LA is different because it's spread out, and so it's just, I don't know, like you don't like walk across LA to like
mm-mm,
meet a friend. In San Francisco, the city itself is not that big. I
no.
mean, there are a lot of hills, but hey, if you like a good incline, I mean, I walked across that
I
city
love a good incline.
100 times
I
a
loved
year.
walking
Yeah,
that
it was
city.
great.
I mean, I kind of prefer walking Paris because it's really flat, but I do like a good hill. I used to ride my bike. I used to be a bike courier in San Francisco. I was a tough cookie back then. I don't think I could
Oh
do
my
it
God,
now.
Heather, I can't even
God.
imagine.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
crazy. I can't even imagine either.
Well, I was okay. So I was there for doing some work a few weeks ago, and I sort of got wrapped up with what I was doing,
Mhm.
which was actually right in Union Square. Real nice office. Probably got a deal on it. I think it would have been an extremely expensive lease, back
Oh,
in the
sure.
day. But anyway, I kind of was like, I wrapped with about an hour to kill before I really needed to get back on the road.
Mhm.
And I thought, let me just like, I don't know, drive around a little bit. Driving around in SF has never bothered me. Some people, it's they're not made for this.
Yeah.
But I'm good at it. And it's like just like drive past a couple places I lived, back in the day, and just
Yeah.
sort of like see if there's some heartstring tugs that happen.
Sure.
And it was weird. It
Mhm.
was honestly, there was a couple of my most recent places that I lived, which were cool spots, but very, kind of urban and gritty. I drove by and I was like, I could never do this again. And it's not because I've gone all that soft, maybe a little,
Mhm.
but it's more of just like, it's so loud, and they're like, in certain areas, San Francisco is a very leafy green city. I mean, there's parks galore, but there's certain parts of it where you're like, we need more trees. It's like big, wide streets. I'm talking about Soma
Mhm.
for you, Heather, but
Yeah.
other people just say it, like there are parts of it where you're like, this is just not pretty.
Yeah.
And I don't need like the most lush garden in my life 24/7,
Mhm.
but uh like I couldn't live there
No.
now.
No, no,
I
no,
just
no.
I
I couldn't
used
either.
to, and that's, an era, and we closed that chapter, and I'm like, I would not do this
You
again.
know, it's actually it's really funny because I kind of try to picture myself, and we talk about this a lot about where is the ideal place to live, and when I came back from my trip, I thought, oh, I could make this my home base. I mean, why not? There's no perfect place. I wouldn't even imagine myself full time or at least home base like in the center of a city now. I don't know if I am there anymore. Like I think in my
Uh-huh.
30s it was really exciting. It was the place to be. But I could just go to the city and visit and get my yayas out. And I think, yeah, the nature tip is a good thing to lean into as you get older. And I still don't want to. I don't want to be too sort of desensitized to the point where I don't even want to go back to back into civilization anymore. My dad got that way a little bit. He was like, he'd start going back to the Bay Area as the years would go on, and he would just complain about how busy it was and the traffic and all these things. And I just want to stay somewhat nimble. I want to feel like I can travel and I can go to a variety of places and not feel like overly sensitive.
I hear that. I hear that.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I miss being, I think it's tough because, I don't get excited about San Francisco anymore. Though I will say I definitely get nostalgic because I lived in neighborhoods that were, just sort of like the that quintessential San Francisco with the cable car. I lived in Russian Hill and Nob
I remember
Hill
that
and
apartment.
Telegraph
You hated
Hill.
that cable car. You
Oh, I
hated
did.
that
Oh,
cable
of course
car
I did. But like
because
it's
it's
just there's
loud
yeah, of
and yeah.
course. Well, that one in particular, I lived on Taylor Street also, which was far enough away you could just hear it in the distance. But that Green Street apartment was cool, but it was right on the cable car line, which I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, yeah, it's times are you got to kind of hold on and hold on for dear life this day and age. Things change very quickly, and
You just you,
you got to hold on.
wise words from Heather Frank, y'all. You
Hold
just hold
on.
on for dear life. Things
This is
change.
true.
I know the feeling though. You mentioned your dad, and I remember you saying that like my dad is he by choice is kind of on the outskirts of civilization,
Mhm.
and has thoughts about, being in the thick of it.
Mhm.
And the other day I was talking to my mother, because, as I've mentioned before, like I grew up in the country. I mean, we moved around a lot. So not every single place that we lived in had like 100 acres of orchard around
Uh-huh.
us, but that was the house that we lived in for most of my childhood.
Yeah.
I would consider that my childhood, experience.
Mhm.
And the town I grew up in, Sebastopol, California, is just there is no urban part of it.
Mhm.
It's a country town.
Mhm.
But I asked my mom the other day, like, why did we do, like, why? Because to me, it was very, very normal to live like really far out of town
Uh-huh.
where your neighbors, I mean, they're your neighbors, but like you're not on top of each other at all.
Mhm.
And she said, well, your dad always wanted some land, and, he just didn't want to be around too many people. And I was like, but you guys, you lived like pretty far away from both of your jobs.
Mhm.
And like I was kind of far away from even school. Like
Like
my
how far?
elementary school was like, I mean, I could walk if I walked for an hour,
Yeah, same.
but like no, we were by design. You had to like get in your car and
Yeah.
drive
Yeah.
everywhere. And, it's sort of like, oh, well, if that's all you know, then that's really normal. And
Mhm.
then all of a sudden you're like, wait a second. I could just live in town and have
Mhm.
all this stuff at my fingertips, which is funny because kind of what my mom does now. She's like, I would never live back out there again. Where I'm like, but why did you?
Yeah.
She's like, well, your dad liked it. So anyway.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's interesting. I don't know if I told you this, but when we were growing up in Los Gatos, my dad like bought a piece of land in Mendocino and he always wanted to move
Hmm.
up there, build a house on there. But he was really worried about, leaving us and taking us out of the city. So he made the sacrifice for us. But I think he always had his sights on the country living. He likes a small
Yeah.
town. I mean, Los Gatos used to be kind of more of a small town, like a little bit crunchier, a little bit, small market. Like, it's been built out over the years, obviously.
Yeah.
But anyways, I want to mention, if y'all hear a cat snoring in the background, my apologies. Yeah, my one of my
I think they'll forgive you.
my
Yeah.
tuxedo cat, Charles, um, Chooch the Mooch, he is quite a snorer. And as he's gotten older, he snores more now and kind of louder. It's actually very cute in
He's
my
an old
mind, but
man.
he's totally an old man. He's definitely getting rickety. I hate seeing it. He's kind of he kind of flops in my arms, and I just, but I do want to talk about animals, actually, but not the aging of my cat. I saw,
Okay.
I mentioned throughout the time that I was on the road on my trip that I saw a lot of wildlife. In fact, it was neat to come home to see the deer again. There was a family of deer in the backyard, two little babies like Bambi with the little spots, and so cute. And they were just eating all my stuff. And you know what? I didn't even care. I was like, eat away, live here, hang out as long as you want. I'm such an animal sucker. Um, and we saw a lot of donkeys, and maybe it's the, I don't know, maybe it's a trend, the donkey trend, because I feel like all of a sudden my life is filled with donkey content. And I have a local friend who has a little bit of a farm up the road. She's got some sheep and goat and pony, and she's got a couple young kids, and they have so many animals. They have like 5 dogs. I mean, it's crazy. I don't even, chickens, all the things. And I always have these like fantasies about having more animals because I love animals so much. I see a baby kangaroo in a film, and I'm like, and I tell my boyfriend, go, can we get one? And I always have
Oh
some
yeah.
kind of like obsession with something.
I know that conversation where I'm like, "Can we get a mini pig?" And
Yeah.
they're like, what is wrong with you?
Well, it's funny.
Like,
So
are you serious?"
yeah, no,
No.
constantly. Like I feel like I get this look, I get this hairy eyeball from my boyfriend because it's like I have my descented skunk phase because supposedly they're great pets. And for a while I was
Oh,
really
I
into
follow a
learning
couple of those on
those.
Instagram.
Yeah,
Mhm.
same. Or like taking home the stranded dog, that kind of thing. And I have some land. I have 9 acres. It's a blessing and a curse because it's a lot of land to maintain, and it kind of I think it adds to my stress a little bit because I have this one gardener who lives on site. She does a great job. But it's a lot for one person. And
Mm,
we've been a bit overgrown, and I think when we're a little more manicured, I feel a little less stressed because it's kind of like having a clean house or cleaning out your closet. There's something that clears your head. Um and so I thought, gosh, I mean, maybe we should seriously consider getting some goats that can, mow the lawn and kind of keep the
sure.
land going. And like I said, there's a lot of people who have farm animals up here. It's not weird. And a lot of people around here tell me you should get some goats, you should get some donkeys, all these things. And the woman, there was a friend of mine who came on our trip, part of our trip. It was a friend of the friend I was traveling with, and she lives in Sonoma area, and she has a farm. She has pigs, she has goats, she has like 5 dogs, all the animals you could ever
Oh,
imagine. So it was really
dream
fun.
life.
Yeah, totally
Dream
dream
life.
life. Talking to her about it. And she's so funny because she's so cosmopolitan too. When I first met her, she was just so like, just, I don't know, just kind of like, cool chick, just seemed like a city girl, but she has this huge
Didn't seem like
farm.
she wore overalls every
No, we were in
day.
Paris
Yeah.
though, so I guess she
Yeah.
wasn't wearing like muddy boots or anything. But long story short, lately my obsession has been donkeys. One of my friends up here is looking into actually getting some miniature donkeys, and we've been talking a lot about, um, you know, the fact that donkeys get really lonely and that you should get 2 of them because they get really sad and lonely, which just breaks my heart even further.
Mhm.
This idea was immediately vetoed by my sister, and my boyfriend, of course. But I don't
Two
know.
against one, Heath.
I
Two
know,
against
right?
one.
Right? I think goats would probably be the first step because they're a little bit less high maintenance. I think donkeys you really need to fence them in. I'm doing some research. I have my friend Lisa, you know Lisa, who used to
Yeah.
she does a lot of animal activism even now. And we were talking a little bit about all the rules and regulations around donkeys. Like if you are going to foster or adopt a donkey, I love that there's all these rules and regulations because it forces them to be treated well. And if you're going to adopt them you have to do this or you're in big trouble. And so been kind of reading over that stuff to see if it's even something that would be possible. We are on the ocean on the cliff. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think the donkey thing might be a little like far reaching for a
You
place like
probably have
this.
to seriously
Fenced
think
in
about
kind of
fencing in
situation.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, it's just something I'm thinking about. And I'm pretty sure I mean, y'all know about my dog obsession, and one of these days I will be getting one. But it's been contradictory to my need to leave and travel, which is why I haven't gotten one yet. I know I've been sort of a broken record about it, but I did run into my dream dog. And it's
Let's hear it.
it's a Marimano Abruzzi's sheepdog.
Okay, so it's some sort of Italian sheepdog?
Yes, it's an Italian sheepdog. It's white, super fluffy. I saw a puppy the other day and my heart melted. I actually couldn't even finish my breakfast. I was like over, taking pictures of it and petting it and talking to the owner. And so adorable. So that's my new obsession. If y'all out there have any comments, please email us at hi@havesuchagoodday.com or tell us about your current animal obsessions. I even saw the other day on my neighbor's property, like a little gaggle of geese wandering around his lawn. It was so cute. I'm like, I would totally get some geese. I mean, hey, I'll
Yeah,
name
geese
them
are
and
mean.
they are. Yeah, that's
But
true.
like it's easy to say that. I used to go to this babysitter's house after school, and again, country. She had a bunch of land, a
Hmm.
bunch of kids, like
Hmm.
all our parents. We would have been latchkey kids otherwise.
Sure.
But our parents sent us to her house, and she had geese, and yeah, they would like bite us and chase us, and I mean, we liked the geese, but I
Yeah,
was always
I
like,
know
oh
what you
yeah,
mean.
geese are like not like docile
No,
creatures.
they're
Like
kind of
they'll
hardcore.
they'll fuck you up.
Yeah, I actually remember when I was a kid, we lived in that adjacent town, Saratoga, when I was like a youngin, and my cousin came over one day, and we lived near this sort of wildlife area, and he got chased by a wild goose, and it was so scary. Actually, like I was younger than him, and it
Well,
bit
and they,
him.
they're big, and once they start flapping, you're like, run,
Yeah, run for your
run.
life.
What is it even gonna do? No one knows. Just run.
They have
Oh
teeth.
gosh.
I mean, they do. They have like the little spiky
Do they
things.
have
Well, they
teeth?
have
I
like
don't
a
know.
spiky
I don't know much
or
about
maybe
what
that was
goes
from my
on under
dreams.
the
I don't know.
bill of a goose or duck, to be honest.
Anyway,
But I will
enough
say,
animal
before we
talk.
move on, Heather, there is, and I can send, I wish I had it handy, because I don't, but talking about donkeys, there is a donkey rescue
Mhm.
that operates out of Israel
Mhm.
that you know, I got suckered in, but I mean, suckered in a good way.
Yeah.
I now sponsor a donkey.
Oh, good. I want to do that. You should send me the
Yeah,
link.
I will. I will. It's I mean, it's not for the faint of heart. You know what I
I
mean?
know.
Because you're
Yeah.
gonna hear a lot of stories where you're like, oh gosh, things are really bad. And sometimes I can't
Ugh,
handle it,
I
and
can't. Ugh.
other times I say, well, here's what I can do to help.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know?
It's
So,
interesting when I think I told you and I told the Discord crew that I saw the latest A24 horror movie. It's called Talk to Me. Very scary, not for the faint of heart, but there's a scene in there with a very clearly CGI kangaroo. I could not watch it. I knew it was CG, like I knew that it wasn't real, but I had to close my eyes and tell the person I was with to let me know when it was over. I've gotten more
mm,
and more sensitive, like I really have. Like it's kind of it's kind of a problem because I think I don't know. I just have so much empathy for animals, and I think it's going to be a tough road ahead. It's just going to get harder, but I could continue to sponsor and, contribute to these good causes and that, do whatever I can, I guess, I don't know. Maybe I'll join some kind of troop and start traveling the world saving animals. I don't know, Sarah.
I don't know. This is such a random donkey thing. Again, I didn't even know I had this much donkey content, but I went to a sort of an eco resort in Mexico many years ago. I mean, we're talking almost 20 years ago. And it was beautiful, and it was up a hill, and you had to like get there from a boat. It was it's hard to get to, remote anyway. And once you even got to off the like a dinghy with your luggage,
Yeah,
where you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
are we gonna capsize? Maybe. Nobody's wearing like flotation devices. Okay. But when we got there, to go up the hill to like, get checked in was a pretty steep hill. I was like, we're good. I'm fine. But they were like, oh, well, we put all your luggage on our donkeys, and the donkeys take the luggage up the hill, so you can, and even if for some reason, like, you're tired or you have mobility issues, like the donkeys could also take you up the hill. And I was like, oh, absolutely not. I'm not doing that.
No.
And I remember like after being there, I think I was there for about a week, me and my travel partner at the time. And they were sort of like, because I was like complaining about the donkeys, I'm like, the donkeys, all they're doing is working. They're going up these like very steep hills with people's like, luggage with like 20 pairs of shoes. This was not the sort of resort that you would dress up at. So like, okay, fine. But still, people were coming from all over the world. They had luggage.
Yeah.
It was heavy,
Yeah.
And I remember just being like, I don't like this. We need like a gondola. Like these people need to put a gondola, up the hill and have the donkeys just as like fun pets.
Yeah.
Not as workers.
I agree.
Anyway.
Well,
all
maybe
right.
Sarah, this is our, I don't know, our later in life endeavor.
There you go. Yeah. Donkey rescue.
Yes.
Well, speaking of, the past and the future, the other day, in fact, it was yesterday, because the days all blend together, Heather, and I never know
sure
what day
do.
it is anymore. I was researching this new Snapchat feature. Snapchat is, everyone knows what Snapchat is. It's not an app I've used for many years now. Not with any regularity. Sometimes I like check in, like see if there's, some new feature or whatever. It has become more and more convoluted. I open it, I'm like, I don't even know what's going on here. I hate this. I'm out of
Yeah,
here.
same. I know I get
Yeah.
occasionally someone adding me on Snapchat. Like I get like a notification. I'm like, what? How is this? How? I don't understand.
Right, right. Well, so right around the time that you were talking about earlier of us moving to LA, a good friend of mine, also a friend of yours, got a job at Snapchat and was running, like product for Snapchat. And so I was like, not only just to like be like cool to him, but also just because it was still fun and different
Yeah.
and somewhat new,
Yeah, it
and all
was.
the kids loved it. Like I was using Snapchat a lot. And after, I don't know, a couple years, I just forgot about it and haven't gone back. It happens. Too many social networks out there. But because I was researching this new thing that Snapchat is doing, which it's sort of a long story, but we talked about it on DTNS on August 29th, is a thing called Dreams, where the app wants to use artificial intelligence to like help you like get like the new memoji, but like the AI version, so you upload a bunch of photos of yourself, kind of like facial recognition type thing.
Yep.
And then it like will like give you your like fantasy version of you, like blah, blah, blah. You can do this in other places, but this is what Snapchat is doing. Anyway, so I'm in there and you have to go into the certain section called memories, which I'm not like that tech illiterate, and I was flummoxed for like an hour. I'm like, where is it? I don't know. I'll just like press buttons and finally find my memories. Finally did. And weirdly, and this is, I think a lot of people probably have the same feeling as like, when you go back to a social network that is definitely like photo and video based,
Yeah.
even if you've abandoned it,
Uh-huh.
you know, a lot of that stuff still exists.
Yeah.
It's like this weird wasteland of like, you know, like your like internet breadcrumbs. And in my memories on Snapchat, I had all these like photos and videos from a pretty specific time, like 2016 through, let's say 2019. And then, you know, my activity completely dropped off. But like there was an old boyfriend, you know, he showed up in there where I was like, I don't even remember taking this video, you know, like whatever. I mean, it's not a big deal, but like, oh yeah.
Well, it's funny. I'll like come across some photos of Snapchat filters, and there's a few of us actually when we went to that hockey game. I don't know if you remember that, but
Oh gosh, yeah, that's really long ago.
yeah, and I'll come across and I'll be like, oh gosh, like I'll delete them a lot of times because they're so, I don't know, they're just off.
Unflattering.
Well, they're also like they're kind of off-putting. I don't know. It's just it's of an other time that is, I don't know. I mean, I did work there for a stint, and you know, it was mostly for spectacles. The glasses, the camera glasses that they
You're
had
talking
for a
about
while.
working at Snapchat.
Yeah, I worked at Snapchat for a while. But they're notorious for being confusing. I feel like their app is totally not intuitive. It never has been. The spectacles was not intuitive. It was hard to learn. I mean, it was definitely a learning curve. But yeah, it's funny how it's like starting to feel dated.
Yeah.
It's
That's a good
strange.
that's a good point. I mean, I would you know, my experience with Snapchat, Snap as the company is known now. You know, I just kind of stopped using it. And it was, you know, partly because I just got fatigue and partly because I didn't really have a lot of people to like hang out with there. And it was like after a while, how many funny face
I
filters are
know.
we going to send to each other? It's like,
Yeah,
you know, diminishing returns,
I
I
agree.
guess, for me. Now, you look at Snapchat's numbers, and they're through the roof in
Really?
various markets around the world. So yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's not like it's a graveyard of any sense. But when I was going through, you know, just because I was like looking for this like new feature that I had to talk about, a current feature that surfacing all these weird videos and photos and like I could tell, you know, that feeling where you're like, oh, I can tell what I was doing. Like I was trying to be clever. I was trying like, you know, like funny text at an angle, you know, that kind of stuff. Like, but I don't actually remember doing this.
Yeah.
But here it is. Clear as day. That's me.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre. It's kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
I'm glad some
Yeah.
of
It's
those
like
things are not on
it's
the
like
internet
it
anymore,
like
though.
you would almost be like, "Oh, this seems like someone else." No, it was me.
Yeah, you know, it's
It
funny
was
because
me.
I remember those things popped up on the internet years back, and now I can't find them. Just like old, I don't know, random images that you wish weren't on the internet, and somehow they're gone, and I'm kind of happy about it. But yeah, early internet days have been flushed somewhere in the back end. I don't know.
Oh, I
Um,
mean, and this is like, I mean, we could talk about all sorts of like internet memory stuff that I do not appreciate.
mhm,
For example, sometimes iOS photos being
mhm.
like, "Remember this day?" And I was like, yeah, it was fun that day.
Yeah.
That was 12 years ago, and I hate that guy
I
now."
still get a lot of people say, "Oh my God, the most amazing thing happened today. This photo came up. I don't know how my phone knew that I was thinking about this moment in time. And it's like, I don't have the heart to say, eh, it's kind of random, or like it's this, it was this day, however
It's
many
more like
years
an
ago.
anniversary of, like, yes, a year, and
Yeah.
maybe you were kind of subconsciously already thinking about it.
Yes,
That sort of
exactly.
thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
talk about like the antithesis of this conversation of like the non-social media element of life. And this is very strange, Sarah. I don't know what's happening, but
Okay.
I'm
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 ready.
very much not a joiner type person.
What does that mean?
Meaning I don't join clubs. I've actually never really been a gym person either.
Oh, right.
I'm
Yeah.
kind of like I have my things and I'll go to yoga classes and I'll do things. I've always wanted to be in a book club. I don't know why it seems so hard to get into one. But I've never really been like much of a club person. And maybe it's just the group thing. I have a lot of individual, like very deep relationships with people. And I have some
Mhm.
groups of friends where it's like I'm really close to some of them. And then the other ones are kind of more in the distance, but we're still part of a group and that kind of thing. But I think for me, it's more of a kind of a one-on-one kind of situation. I don't really know why. I'm not a club person. I can't really tell you why. I just never have been. But there's this private club here in town that my LA friends, who are looking for real estate up here, and I see them a lot down there. They live in our old neighborhood, and they have been a member of the club up here because they're also a member of the Magic Castle in Los Angeles, which probably a lot of you
Mm.
know about, and other various clubs in the world. And so they've taken us there. You can't go unless you go with a member, kind of thing. And I'm just like, and that's kind of annoying. I don't need to be part of it. I'm happy to go just as a guest, no big deal. But then my sister brought it up the other day, like, this could be like a really fun thing to do just for maybe a short period of time. Just like check it out. There's a lot of stuff that I've learned over the course of the last couple months that it offers. This is a kind of a tough place to get to know people. A lot of times you have to join clubs or you have to join groups to meet people because everyone's really spread out. Everyone's kind of doing their own
Sure.
thing. We're in our own
Yeah.
bubbles. And I've met a lot of girls like through my yoga classes, but for the most part, that's the world that I know of here. Other than that, I've met lawyers and the people for the business. But this club, it kind of started to creep into my life since I've been back because we got invited there a couple times, and I started to kind of warm up to the idea. Not just as like kind of a business thing where they have these happy hours, every Friday. They have like really cool events. They have wine tasting. They have, they have a pool where you can have lunch out by the pool. There's a restaurant, bar. There's private rooms where you can have meetings, or you can just go with your laptop, and you can go into a private room and like make yourself a drink, like at the bar. Like, it's very cool. It's very
Sounds
adult.
fun.
It's very, very
Yeah.
adult. It used to be a men's club. So just imagine it's there's not a lot of photographs of it online, because they kind of don't want you to take photographs and put it on social media because it's a
Oh,
private
that's what every
experience.
private club does.
Exactly. And so the thing that
They
I
want to
like
make
about
it
it,
seem so
I know,
cool.
I agree. So it's a huge gingerbread Victorian, and it's always been a little bit,
Hmm.
I wouldn't call it gothic, but it's a darker green, and it's one of those very ornate, very historic Victorians. It's beautiful. I mean, it's right on the water. And it's kind of weirdly growing on me. And I got a tour like a year or two ago, and I was kind of like, yeah, I don't know. But it has sort of this adult vibe to it. You kind of have to dress up a little. It's not like fancy, but it's kind of sharp, casual. You don't want to wear like flip flops and a t-shirt. But you have access to
I'm out.
other clubs in the world. Like you can go to Magic Castle, which I plan to do in the coming months.
Have you not been?
I have. I went once
You
years ago.
okay?
Yeah,
I
yeah, it's
went
fun.
once. I thought it was the best night of my
It's pretty
life.
fun. It's pretty fun. I have a
It's
friend
so
whose
fun.
kid is like 11. who really wants to go, so I'm going to take them. But
Oh yeah,
the thing that's
that's
cool
fun.
is, so yesterday we had our initiation. We had they had us there for lunch. It was really nice and it felt very special. It was, you can get involved in a lot of different groups in this club. They have a lot of cool events, like stuff that's very um, giving back to the community and that kind of thing. So I'm like, I might get involved in some of these things. Yeah, so we're members. We're members for a year. We're going to start it out for a year, see how it goes. But what I love about it is that there are clubs all over the globe that I could go to because I have a membership to this club. And frankly, that to me is like the best perk, because I don't know, like if I'm cruising down to Pasadena or, San Francisco, even there's several there, and it's just kind of fun. Like you can just like kind of pop into this cool building. Usually it's a historic building, of some kind that is interesting
It
architecture.
kind of sounds like in a way like a, when you fly a lot and you've
Yeah.
got like, ooh, like a club lounge,
Exactly.
at various airports. Like, well, okay. I mean, you could live your life without that, but kind of
It's kind of
nice.
just fun. I think it's fun for my sister doesn't know anyone up here. She wants to be more integrated. It's kind of a businessy thing, but kind of a social thing. I can bring my friends who aren't members. It's kind of a fun little, I don't know, we're gonna try it out. Anyway, I guess the moral of the story is never underestimate yourself and things that you think, oh, because I'm not a club person, but I'm just gonna try it out. Try it on for size,
Try it
if
out.
you
Try
will.
it out. Yeah.
And yeah, and
I
they
mean,
have clubs in Hong Kong. I mean, I'm talking like all over the world. It's pretty amazing. So yeah, kind of a fun thing.
I do not dislike a good club.
Yeah, you
I
like a good
I
gym.
don't like I don't like things that are exclusive. It just is off-putting to
I
me.
agree.
But but that's not what all clubs are. Like
Definitely not.
Soho House is like, or I'm like, oh God, vomit.
Yeah.
But a lot of my friends belong to Soho
Hmm.
Houses and love them.
Hmm.
So fine,
Yeah, exactly.
you find what works for you, and
To each
kind of
his
nice
or
to have
her
a
own.
place where you go, I can come, I know what I'm getting, might meet new people. Like that's all great.
Yeah, maybe it's a place for me to stop. Like it's a half an hour away, so it's a place for me to like stop in for lunch or do a little work in one of those private rooms. I could meet with like a new contractor and have a meet. I don't have an office away from home. So in a way, I can use it as like an office.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Heather, what I also think is 100% are our patrons.
Oh, yeah.
Did you like that segue?
I love it. I always love your
It was
segues.
really, really
Very
solid.
clever. Yeah.
Just to remind y'all, if you're already a patron, you know this. But if you're not, and you're listening to a free version of the show, thank you. Welcome. Hope you liked it. If you would like to consider contributing to the show directly, patreon.com/have such a good day is where to find out more about how to do that. We've got a great community. We would love more of you. And, it's just Heather and I. We're doing our thing. It's our private club of sorts.
Oh, it is.
Really,
It
that
is
you're invited
100%.
to.
Oh my God. And it's we're like a small and mighty team, have such a good day. But yeah, club. I like that, Sarah. It's a private little club. And you know who's in our club?
Who's that?
Our Discorders get a
Indeed.
little extra access.
Yeah, shout out to the Discorders. We love you guys, and we would love more of you. It's a great little fun safe space.
It
I
is.
call it like private club. Almost sounds,
Too
don't let it
exclusive.
put you off. It's a fun. We're a fun crew of a bunch of nice people. There are cats. There is weather.
There are donkeys.
Babies.
We like to hash things out, and we
Travel stuff. We talk about movies.
We hope that it helps hash things out for you too.
Yeah, exactly. All the things.
We help you along in life as we help ourselves along in life. So, yeah, well, that being said, there will be more juicy content to come in about a week's time. But in the meantime, I'm going to go continue with my other job. And
please
but
do
thank
that
you for
and let
being
us
here
know
for the
what's going on with your donkey
Yeah, we will.
adoption
100%.
journey, Heather. Because I mean, knowing you, you could have a donkey next week. I don't know.
Hey, man. I'm a little concerned that if someone handed me a donkey, I would not say no.
And why should you? But until episode 205. How about that, y'all?
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
when it was like $199?
Like,
Seems like just yesterday.
we're inching toward 300. Look
We
out,
are.
world.
Pretty
Inching
soon it'll
is
be
the key
episode
word.
300. Wow, crazy. Until then, we hope you have such a good day. I will remain Sarah.
I will be Heather forever. Bye-bye.
Bye.